Hey guys, it's Davey here, and it's currently day 66. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful day and doing better than yesterday. Now, today is a self reflection Sunday, right? So, we have a lot to get through. So, let's start the day off today by saying what went well this week, right? Well, what went well this week is that I didn't think about flapping, right? I didn't think about masturbating, and I managed to transfer all that energy and time to get the important things done, right? To use that time to improve my overall life, whether that's self esteem, my confidence, my gym performance, or just work in general. I managed to get more done at a short amount of time and managed to stay focused and do the work with more drive and enthusiasm, right? So that was one benefit that I gained by not flapping, right? Now, because of that, my lift also increased dramatically. Now, it is good because it is good that I am ending of my strength cycle by increasing my lift dramatically, and also my bulk ended too. So it is just an overall good way to end off a season bulk, right? Because now I'm leaning into a cut, trying to cut some kilograms off, trying to lower my body fat because I am well over 20%, and it is not ideal to walk pretty bloated every time. And definitely it takes a hit at your self-confidence, right? So taking this time to cut my weight down a little bit, but increasing my strength at the end of my bulk and at the end of my strength cycle was is a good way to end the bulk. Now, I also managed to ignore my urges. Now, bear in mind, I did not mean avoid because nothing came into my mind in that instinct, right? So there is nothing to avoid because bear in mind, guys, if you have to avoid something, that means that thing is still consciously has a place in your mind. You're still thinking about it. And because you don't want to give in, you're trying to avoid it, right? And the best way to not give in, to not in the first place avoid something, is to ignore it, right? If you ignore it, that thing won't bother you in the first place. But if you try to avoid it, it is still in the back of your mind tickling at you, saying, just give in, just do this and that, all right? Because I'm still here and I won't leave. And by avoiding it, you're still trying to play a tug of war game with it, right? So it is best to ignore it in the first place, to not let that thing get into your personal space or your mental space in the first place. And then you'll save yourself a lot of more energy by doing so, right? And because also by not avoiding it, you're also not creating any friction with it. So you don't have to use any willpower to avoid it. By simply ignoring it, you can save your willpower for the more important things in life that you actually need to avoid, because it is just inevitable that some things in life do have a place in your heart and mind, and it is something you can avoid. But with some willpower, you can postpone it until you have something more important that will balance it out or replace that feeling out of your mind in altogether. Lastly, what went well this week is I'm not taking setbacks too personal, right? I'm not viewing any setback or things that hindered me from my goal, taking it too personally or too negatively, where that thing becomes more significant, right? So when in the first place it is trifling, when it's something not really important, it is just a normal setback. It is inevitable that we get knocked back in our journey, but by giving it too much attention, by giving it too much importance, we turn something so minor into something so important and serious. And when we do that, guys, it will bother us even further. It'll take a toll on our overall performance and just affect everything else that happens from then and on. So lately, I just haven't been taking any setbacks too personally, right? So just basically simply viewing things positively, simply finding the things that I could be positive for and could be grateful for, eventually help me by not taking the setback too personally. Now, obviously, you can overdo this, right? By being too positive, you might fall into the trap of being complacent, right? I've been there, and to this day, I am still currently in that position, but obviously, there's also good reason to be positive, and sometimes negativity isn't just needed in your overdose life. Now, lastly, what went well this week is that I didn't take my setbacks too personally, right? Setbacks will always happen in our journey. We're going to get knocked back. That is inevitable, right? And by viewing things negatively, it turns something so trifling into something so serious, right? And when we view things negatively, when we start taking setbacks personally, we're going to prolong our journey of success. We're going to hinder our growth because when that thing becomes serious, we start to become bothered by it, right? And when we do that, it affects our overall performance from then and on. So by not viewing it personally, I managed to do that by being just overall more positive and just trying to see anything that I could be grateful for from that experience and what can I actually learn from it. And just by doing that, I managed to take setbacks less personally. But just remember, viewing things positively is a difference from being overly comfortable with it. I've been overly comfortable with it, and until this day, I am still overly comfortable with some things, and that obviously turned into complacency. So just know you can be grateful and look for the positive things when adversity arises, but never be too comfortable where you ignore the lesson you could learn from it and keep on repeating the same mistake and living in a constant loop. That is a trap you can fall into by being too positive. So just remember, be positive, but do not be comfortable with things. Now, getting to the things that I could improve in this week or from here and on is that transferring my energy to do things that will place me in the best position in the future, let's say 5 years or so. Although I said I stopped flapping and I managed to take that time and energy and transferred it into doing more important things. However, the things I have been doing won't necessarily be the things I want to be doing in the next 5 or 10 years, let's say. For example, this week I managed to take the time and effort to write my resume, hand in some resume, look for some job position, and managed to complete some certificates in some alcohol licensing and some crowd control, right? Obviously, those are good things to do and important things if you could say to give me a job, right? A job right now is something I need to earn some money to keep me going with the business I'm running and just overall daily expenses, right? So at the moment, a job is important and urgent. So we could argue that at the moment I am doing important things, right? But I'm also doing those things to kind of push back what is truly important. And that is my goal and purpose, right? To retire my family, to retire myself, to be more free and to just run many, many successful businesses, right? And just be an important person overall. And obviously, getting a job won't necessarily get me to that position. Maybe from my narrow view, I don't see how it could be. Maybe getting that job will open me new opportunities, but at the moment, it is more like doing the important things now to avoid what is truly important. So, what I could improve on is really seeing what I really would want to be doing in the 5 or 10 years coming up or in the future and really take effort and pride in doing those things rather than doing some other important things that necessarily is only urgent but really not something I am looking forward to in the future or a life that I won't be content living in the future. Now, one other major thing is to really stick with my routine on the weekends, right? Start my day off the same time and do everything I would as if it was the weekday. Now, my day shouldn't change and your day shouldn't change also just because everyone else is relaxing on those days. We are different and I am different, right? I find myself constantly taking a few pounds off my shoulder during the weekends because everyone else is taking a break and I just know in the back of my head that all other businesses are taking a break on this day. So I say to myself, maybe this is a good reason, excuse to give myself some break. Now, that is not entirely the truth, guys. If you are far behind from everyone else, which majority of us will be, then those weekend isn't a day for us to relax. It's those days we take to catch up and be even level with our competitors, right? Because if we take those days to relax, then guess what? Most likely we will never catch up to the people ahead of us because they worked their ass off in the beginning to get there. And now they are still working daily to maintain their spot, to maintain their throne. So if we don't take extra time to catch up with them, because let's just say we are not naturally talented at the certain thing they are in. If we're not naturally gifted, then we're going to take extra time to reach them or to overtake them, right? If we can't be gifted, then we have to put in more hours. It is simply as that. And obviously, lately or forever, I haven't been doing that, right? I haven't been working weekends. I say to myself, I am, but at the end of the day, guys, I'm just doing what is the bare minimum: reading, meditating, journaling, making videos. Those are the bare minimum. They don't really work in my eyes, right? So it is just taking those weekends and turning them into weekdays that I need to start doing. Now, be mindful also of the consequences of my actions rather than think of what I could gain by avoiding the temptation, but think of what I can lose if I do give in. Now, in sales, there could be two types of different selling strategies, right? Obviously, I am not too sure about the name of the techniques, but one is future pasting and one is consequence, right? So future pasting would be like if you go forward with our service, you can expect to increase your revenue by 20% in the next 3 months, or get 20 more clients in the next month if you sign with us. That is future pasting. That is telling someone, look, if you go forward with this program, if you buy this product, you'll be better off in X amount of time. And this basically gives the prospect an idea of where they will end up if they work with you. However, the problem with future pasting is that can never be guaranteed. Sure, you may say that you'll get 20 clients in the next month, but that is never guaranteed because that is in the future, and the future is never calculated and never ever predictable. So some people stay hesitant and a lot of people still future pace. Now, the next method is consequence selling, right? And consequence selling is basically telling the prospect what you are losing today if you're not going forward with the program or the service or the product, right? This is more about a present. It is more about the track record of saying, look, it's been 2 months now, you're not moving forward with us. This is how much you lost because you haven't signed with us. So instead of telling myself that if I cold call today, I may get a client in the next month or so, right? Instead of telling myself that, I could say that if I don't cold call today, I'm going to lose the chance to close someone. I'm going to lose the chance of making money. And that to me is more real and more serious. And when you have a consequence in mind, you realize that it actually weighs something. Instead of talking about an imaginary figure that cannot be calculated in the near future, right? Or by saying that if I don't flap today, I may get more confident in the next month, or in the next month, I may be able to talk to that crush. Instead of telling yourself that, just know and tell yourself, if you flap today, you're going to lose all your progress. If you flap today, you're going to still be unconfident and you're not going to be able to talk to that chick, or even say that if you flap today, that chick will be with someone else. Make the consequence as severe as possible so that it actually takes a weight in your mind, right? So I'm just gonna be more mindful of my consequences of doing an action instead of just going and doing that action mindlessly. And when you guys do actions mindlessly, we are more likely to give in to temptations and distractions because we never gave it a weight of consequence in our mind that by doing this, we may lose something. And when you associate loss with action, then we are less likely, or we are more likely to second guess that action before doing it. And as you guys know, thinking is always the best way to tap into our conscious mind. Now, I also got to take control back of my life, right? By bringing more positive habits like cold calling and educating myself on things related to SMMA or my business or just my personal well being in general, right? Obviously, this is nothing to hide. Lately, I have not been attending to my business or anything related to my business. More or say I am kind of on autopilot right now, or just really feeling my life is on pause. Now, do I need sympathy from anyone? No. Do I have anyone to blame? No. I take full responsibility of my action. And I know at the end of the day, where I am today, it is because of my own lack of decision or decision. And it's all a matter of choice. And obviously, at the moment, I am not making the most effective choice, which is why I am not where I envision myself to be currently, right? But I know that isn't the life I want to live. So That means take back control of my life by bringing back my good habits that I used to do and that I knew were effective because it got me results. That leads us to physically getting rid of the distractions. Physically getting rid of the distraction is so much more effective than just verbally saying, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. Now, examples of physically getting rid of distractions may be deleting social media, deleting some weird videos you have on your phone, deleting the games on your laptop, or any related distractions that you want to get rid of. Actually do it rather than say it, right? Blocking sites and ads, right? That could trigger a cue to your bad habits, maybe a provocative ad or a video game ad, any ad that distracts you back into your old habit. Physically take the effort to block the site and de-recommend the ad on all your social media or YouTube. By doing that, you're gonna eliminate the cues that's gonna trigger you from reperforming your bad habits. Because as I had experienced, right, majority of the time, I don't find myself doing those bad habits. What I do find, however, is myself giving into it, not because I want to, but because the distractions are so easily accessible, right? Now, today I gave in to flapping again, right? But I am not viewing this as a like I am back at square one because that is not true. I am not back at square one. I am just a little bit setback, right? But mentally, I am not resetted, right? But obviously, what led to that decision is a provocative ad popped up on my YouTube screen, and that triggered a cue. Now, obviously, I should be better. I should have had more willpower to stop myself from doing it. But this is my example of how effective it can be by just this little ad that triggers you to your desire to something you used to do, and how that can inevitably lead you back into relapsing. So take the effort to block those sites and block those ads to eliminate any chance of you actually relapsing or reperforming those bad habits, right? Because during the first stages of eliminating a habit, we are at our most fertile spot in life, right? So any form of cue or trigger can easily lead us back into reperforming those habits. Sure, some willpower is needed, but it's always best to clear up your environment to eliminate or at least minimize the risk of you doing it again. So, what I have learned altogether this week? Well, I believe if we live consciously, then we would experience minimum setback. But it's because we don't want to be told that we are a lesser version of ourselves today. Is why we live mindlessly every day to ignore that we could be better. So, that being said, guys, hopefully you guys had a wonderful Sunday, and I do hope you guys took the time to self reflect. And if you guys learned something from this video, then that's amazing. But if not, I'll be here tomorrow with something else. So, see you guys then. Bye bye.